Hey everyone, I'm Dino Bidala. Welcome to tonight's Dino Bidala Show on SiriusXM Channel 127. It is Wednesday, January 27th, and we are still dealing with increased threats of violence from the right, Donald Trump, the fallout, more arrests from Donald Trump's insurrection. And what's the GOP's latest? Their latest defense of Trump is that, the insurrection, it was so 3 weeks ago. It was so 3 weeks ago. This would be like a criminal going to court and going, yeah, judge, I robbed the bank, but it was so 3 weeks ago. Can't we just move on from that? You can't move on because without accountability, this is common sense. Without holding Trump accountable, another president, if not Trump himself, will incite more terrorism in our nation. It's not a game. Alarming development today. Department of Homeland Security today put out a statement about the risk of more violence coming from the right. And literally it says Homeland Security has issued a terrorism advisory today. They're using the word terrorism, that due to a heightened threat of environment across the U.S. and very specific, they say following the successful presidential inauguration, information suggests that some ideologically motivated violent extremists with objections to the exercise of governmental authority and the presidential transition, as well as other perceived grievances fueled by false narratives, could continue to mobilize. So the point is right here, it is right-wing, white supremacist grievance terrorism. These are literally white grievance terrorists. That's what we have. The grievance of these white men, and it's not too many women involved in the actual acts of terror, although some did get arrested, are motivating them to commit acts of violence. You know, we learned last night, stunningly, that a man named Robert Lemke was arrested for making terrorist threats against Congressman Hakeem Jeffries and a member of the media. And it was stunning. It was text messages to Congressman Jeffries' brother saying things about, your brother is putting your entire family at risk with his lies. In other words, we are armed and nearby your house. Went on to say, point blank in the text, stop telling lies. Biden did not win. He will not be president. This was text on January 6th, the day of Trump's insurrection. So they're even targeting members of Congress. Congressman Jeffries was on MSNBC last night and said, this terrorist was radicalized by Donald Trump's big lie. Perfectly put. Donald Trump is radicalizing terrorists just like an ISIS recruiter will. We learned about another arrest today, an extremist in California. They discovered, and he was a Trump supporter, no disputing it. He had a white privilege card that he carried around with him because white grievance is so funny. You make it your white privilege card. I'm not kidding. He literally had a white privilege card. He had pipe bombs as well, thousands of rounds of ammunition. And clearly it was a threat, whatever he was plotting, and arrested today. We also learned yesterday that Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican in Congress in Georgia, in 2018 and 19 on social media, was liking and sharing comments that were involving violence against members of Congress. In fact, she liked an actual reply to one of her statements that said about Nancy Pelosi, a bullet to the head would be quicker. She liked that on Facebook. It's unreal. And we learned today that there are more members of Congress requesting security and protection. And while the article might say people in both parties need the protection, it's not what you think. It's not anyone on the left threatening them. It's Republicans who are being threatened for voting to impeach Donald Trump. It is all from Trump's base. It's all from Trump's terrorists who are doing this. And if you're a member of Congress, you should be concerned because Marjorie Taylor Greene is in Congress and is liking comments about killing you. I mean, it's like the movie. Like we've traced the phone call of the threat, and it's coming from inside the house, literally in the house, sitting next to you. That's what we're dealing with. And what's the GOP doing? Where is their voice in unison, holding a big press conference saying, we denounce the Proud Boys, we denounce QAnon, we denounce the militia, we denounce the 22% of Republicans in our base who said in a Reuters poll they support the attack on the Capitol? Where is that? Nowhere. And it's never coming. It's never coming. Because the GOP is about power. And the GOP understands right now that even with their voter suppression laws in place, and they're heightening and doing even more, they're losing. Things are finally here. The demographic shift has happened. We saw that in Georgia, in Arizona. Things are happening. So for them now, the threat of violence is going to be simply another weapon in their arsenal. I'm not saying they're going to call for violence, although some might, but you'll have others who will be maybe use violence to scare people into doing things for them. There's no other way of putting it, because if they were denouncing these groups by name, we'd say, well, that's not true, but they are. They're coddling them. They're coddling them. They're palling around with them. They want them in their group. They want the militia supporting them. And you have Donald Trump, the terrorist radicalizer in chief. They're defending him. And worse, we learned today that Kevin McCarthy, the House minority leader, is going to Florida to meet with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. So he's defending him, and now he's going to meet with him, a big public thing here, to show he stands with a man who radicalized people to attack our Capitol. You have Mark Meadows, the former chief of staff on CNN today, saying, well, it was 3 weeks ago. Americans don't care about it anymore, the insurrection. You had Rand Paul today saying that, well, if they're going to impeach Trump, they should impeach Maxine Waters because she incited violence as well. You know, comments Maxine Waters made, I think it was 2 years ago, are not nearly the same as Donald Trump's 2 months of lies and calling for people to go to the Capitol at that event and try to prevent the certification of Joe Biden's Electoral College victory. Vastly different. No police officer was killed like Maxine Waters. There was no people beaten up. You know what, 5 or 6 people dead, including a police officer, from Trump's terrorist attack. This is where we are. This is not a game. I don't say things to be hyperbolic so people listen to my show or like my tweets. I am telling you bluntly, as much as you're watching this right here and listening to me, the GOP is becoming America's biggest fascist movement. That's what they're becoming. They have a chance to stop it. And I keep repeating this, and I'm going to keep repeating it until either they step up or in uniform, the media, not just progressive media, but all the media and all the donors out there understand they are fascism. They're about using violence to achieve political means. They are no longer a democratic with a small d movement. They have moved in the area of fascism. And until they reject the military wing of their party, as I call it, or the violent wing, it'll grow. It'll metastasize. The GOP never gets more reasonable on their own. They get more unreasonable, more right-wing, more dangerous in this case. That's what we're dealing with. So we'll talk about that more on my show today and brainstorm ideas. The GOP is not going to do the right thing on their own. What can we do? Now, politically, we can hopefully defeat them and register more people. But what else can we do? Can we shame corporate donors? Because there's more of us than them. Corporations don't give money to the RNC, to CPAC, any conservative organizations. You're supporting terrorism, supporting an attack on our nation. Is there anything we can do with actually moderate Republicans who are going to run against these radicals and maybe even helping to support them? And while we disagree with policy, look, this is far different. This is with America, against America type stuff. You're either with Trump or you're with the United States of America. Those are the stakes. There's no moral ambiguity. That's how clear-cut this must be right at this moment in this nation. Just like after 9/11, with us or against us. That's where you stand right now, Republicans. Are you with America or are you with Trump? There's no overlap. Talk about that and more on my show tonight, channel 127 on Sirius XM, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you don't subscribe, go check it out. Free trials, join us, call in, be a part of our family. Look, we've got a lot of work to do. You want progress, stay active. Let's do this. Thanks for tuning in.